Hello there, this is RJB for RJB TV, and today we continue on with the best of set between Leebokgu and Minchul. A best of 5 series between these two very powerful, diverse, multitask focused players playing Terran against Protoss in this best of 5. Let's see what is going to happen in game number 3, as Minchul has currently the lead over Leebokgu with 2 wins and no losses yet. Leebokgu here on the olive green Terran, and we've got Minchul here on the pink. This is pink. Pink Protoss. Has to be the pink Protoss, without a doubt. It's hard to see when it's pink on yellow. It's a bit difficult, but we don't really care that much. What matters is we can recognize the color. It's distinct from the other one. That's always what we're looking for. Alright, so let's see what is going to happen. Pylon as usual. Well, actually, we can't really say what's going to happen yet. This is kind of just the usual ordinary stuff. Usual ordinary stuff. One thing here, though, that I noticed is Leebokgu... Oh, never mind. He placed his depot on the exact right spot. Although it's one little bit too high, actually. Place depot one too high. That's just my OCD. I don't really have OCD. But to the people who do have OCD, they will notice the depot is placed one little row too high. And that just triggers all the people with OCD. Because now his base is going to look like a mess. And nobody wants their base to look like a mess. It's just very aggravating. Right, so Minchul here going for Nexus Forge Gateway Choke. Now, something I learned from a friend is that most of the time when they get a spawn on the middle on 3, 6, 9, or 12, they in fact go for double gateway into a Nexus instead of Nexus Forge Gateway. Because, you know, as we all know by now, when you're on a middle spawn location, the enemy is, the traveling distance is pretty short. But there's a chance you're going to get rushed on your choke before your cannon finishes. And you might lose your choke. It doesn't happen often, but there's a chance that it can happen. So what most players do is they go for double gateway when they're on a middle spawn, so that they can, keep the Terran away from their choke and get their choke up and running within a certain sense of safety. Because those zealots are going to keep those Marines and zealots away, Marines and SCVs away from killing the cannons early on. But it does, of course, delay the tech options, because now the tech is out. Cybercore finishes at 312 or 311. Gonna have his robos up very early as well. Well, Leebokgu is taking this moment to his advantage by going for double command center added on to his main one for triple command center SV production, a lot of economy, and he's doing this precisely because Minchul doesn't have any units out on the map at the moment, which gives Leebokgu a lot of time, like 2 or 3 minutes of time, to get comfortable. And in a time frame where he's safe from harm, safe from attacks, double command center is the best option to boost up your economy for pretty much everything that comes after this. But he has to be careful with those Marines he's got here on the middle, because he's right now once again producing Marines, but he wasn't producing Marines for about 60 or 70 seconds in total. That's a lot of downtime on Marine production, considering 1 Marine spawns per 14 seconds or so. And it was producing from 2, so that's about 8 Marines, maybe even 10 Marines less than he usually would have. Now, of course, he has the freedom to play on that low amount of Marines because there's nothing to attack him. But it still means he cannot afford to lose his Marines, because defending becomes very difficult when you lose all those Marines that you balled up and saved up in the first 6 minutes or so. Because you're gonna need them to defend. Because once the Protoss becomes strong and has their Reavers and their Shuttles, their Dark Templars, High Templars, whatever they need, whenever they have all their tech options and tech units, they can kill your Marines very quick. And if you have a very small amount of Marines, they only have to kill a few. So of course, naturally, you keep them alive, keep them safe. That's exactly what Leebokgu is doing, pulling his Marines back to his base just to keep them safe, because he knows that this is about the time that the enemy can realistically start killing them. Sends 2 to the sides, just in case a shuttle is going to fly over the side, so you can spot it out, get himself some vision for reaction time, so you can respond to it before the enemy shuttle is inside his base. So this is just a lot of extra reaction time. It takes like 4 seconds, maybe 5 seconds for this entire distance to be covered by a slow shuttle or a fast shuttle. Not entirely sure what the distance traveling time is here, but at least it gives him some extra time. That's what matters. Factory up there, siege mode on the way, siege tank also on the way. No armories yet, but he can't afford them, so no need for them yet. Double scan for information, hasn't used them yet. He's gonna wait until about the 6-minute mark into the game, and then he's gonna throw down the scan on the choke, most likely to see if shuttle is leaving and if there's Reavers or Templars being loaded up. That's kind of the entire point. He's killing his Zealot here, because he's in dire need of some supply space, because he just screwed up. So time to kill the Zealot instead of waiting for a pylon to finish. You could have just waited for a pylon to finish though, but he killed it nonetheless. Corsair comes in. As I said before in game number 1, this is a typical Minchul move, sending a Corsair into the enemy base, seeing if there's anything he has to be aware about or aware of, to keep in mind. He scouts the entire base, gets a lot of information. So now at least he knows, what does Leebokgu have? Leebokgu has some Marines, medics, and more Marines. 2 tanks are in the front, but he didn't see those. He saw the 1 factory, didn't see a starport. And a starport is usually made to defend against shuttles. So that means that Leebokgu has a pretty good shot at just flying in and killing whatever he wants to kill, because there's only Marines there to intercept the shuttles. But starports are now actually on the way. That might, depending on how long it takes Minchul to formulate and build an attack, Leebokgu might have Valkyries or Raids prepared by the time that first attack from Minchul comes in. And Minchul is taking his time. He's honestly taking a lot of time here. It's 7 minutes in, and he hasn't attacked yet. He's building a massive base, getting very quick Arbiter recall, very quick Arbiters as well. He's just going to go for very small, little, tiny Reaver Storm drop. He can drop this pretty much anywhere he wants, although it's going to be difficult to get in because there's a lot of turrets on the side and vision up on the hill as well. Scan comes out. He doesn't see the Arbiter Tribunal, so he doesn't know Arbiter Tribunal is on the way, but he only sees a single robo there. He sees a starport very early on, so he knows something might be up. Because Minchul likes to do tricky stuff. He likes to do slightly different things than what everyone else does. So he finds a way in, but he decides against going in. He's gonna hang there on the side for a little while. Wants to build some stuff first, goes in. Storm is finished. He was waiting for a storm upgrade, finds a way in. Minchul is just gonna fly all the way in. Leebokgu is completely ignoring it. He didn't see it. There's still a Templar in there. Templar's gonna wait until all the SFVs are unloaded. Templar unloads. Templar storms. Templar gets some kills. Gets about 8 or 7. I think he got 7. Leebokgu was just in time with dodging the storm. He was just in time. Yeah, that's very uncharacteristic of Leebokgu to just let something fly into his base completely unnoticed, completely unresponsive until the very last moment. And he got a little bit lucky that their Scarab didn't actually kill any SCVs. It took too long, it couldn't hit the SCV it targeted, and when it can't physically make contact, the Scarab is just gonna fly and not explode. So yeah, Minchul is taking his time. Arbiter is not yet finished. I don't see R. There it is. There's the Arbiter. He's got another Arbiter, but I don't know where it is. It's just finishing up. He's got Arbiter energy now on the way as well. Recall is finished. One more shuttle there in the middle of the map, but it's empty. Mostly just taking a lot of time. He wants to go for a big bang attack onto Leebokgu. Wants to really hit him hard. Oh, but a scan comes down. What did he see this time? He saw the entire base, sees the Arbiter Tribunal as well. Didn't see the Arbiters themselves, but now he knows that Arbiters are probably on the way. Scan's a little bit higher as well. Scan's a little bit lower as well. He really wants to find the Arbiters, but Minchul keeps them outside of his base pretty smartly. As if he knew that Leebokgu was going to scan his entire base, and best is to keep them away. keep them out of sight, so that Leebokgu is not yet entirely prepared for those Arbiters. But Leebokgu is on 150 supply now. Still, we haven't seen a single real attempt at dealing damage. We saw the shuttle going in, but the shuttle didn't do much, as I said before. Minchul is mostly just focusing on being very fast with building a base and getting his desired technology options finished for that recall attack. Got a lot of Templars here. He might turn them into Archons. He might not. Archons it is. He's gonna try to just go straight for the money shot there on the command center. But can the Arbiter actually get in deep enough? Shuttle finds a path in. This pathway here that he used before is still open. Leebokgu is being very lazy on his frontal defense. It's pretty much 2 tanks unsieged and 1 siege tank. But what really matters is we've got the Arbiter recall coming in there over the bottom side of the map. Right there spots it out. There's 2 raids in fact. Arbiter's teaming up there with the main Arbiter. Is this one gonna go in? Is it gonna hit? He's gonna try to recall this entire group there. He's got 2. Oh, he knows which the real one is. He's gonna have to recall now. This one. Oh, the Arbiter stays alive for a little bit too long. The Arbiter gets into the base. This Arbiter doesn't have energy. He cannot use a second recall. I'm sure his idea was to use double recall, get into the base even further to recall this second group, but he put the wrong Arbiter. Well, actually, no. He just didn't have enough energy. So the setup was really good, but he forgot that his second Arbiter didn't have the energy to recall the second half of the army. And that is sloppy. Everything else was well done. But the execution? That's something we actually almost never see from Minchul. Usually his execution is crisp, it's on the money, without mistake. But this time he actually makes a pretty massive mistake. And given the fact he went for such a delayed gratification build order, where his attack was so delayed, it's 11 minutes in, and now we're actually going to find and see his first very real attempt at damaging Leebokgu. But Leebokgu is maxed out as well. Only has about 8 factories there though. A lot of units in the back that are going to come streaming to the front. But oh, there's so many units in the back, almost nothing in the front. And this actually, even though Minchul doesn't deserve to do this much damage with this mass attack, he's going to deal some damage here. He's going to deal quite some damage. Already killed 3 depots now, killing a lot of units as well. Tanks in the front have gone down. Zealots are trying to penetrate through into the back. He's killing units left and right, but a stim attack from those Marines is actually coming in really clutch. It's coming in really strong, but Dark Templar, they're still on the attack. They're in between all those units. It's not getting scanned yet. He knows it's there, but he isn't scanning yet. He isn't noticing it. Goes for a tank drop at the same time as well. Probes are running away. Or is he going to get any kills? 30 probe kills. Actually, massive hit there. Get some shots on the Nexus as well, and that is Minchul getting punished for his hubris. He played something that is very high risk and potentially high reward, but the reward never came. The reward, the execution, the payoff never happened. So now Leebokgu is actually in a very good spot. Leebokgu is in an amazing spot to win the game, but he has to start and move now. He's waiting and filling out his base first, but he has to be quick. He has to be quick, because there is a mind control upgrade finished and a Dark Archon there in the shuttle, and he has 3 Arbiters for quick recalls on a mind controlled SCV. That's a trick people really like to use. They fly in with the shuttle, while units are distracting away from the shuttle, they mind control an SCV and they recall it back to base with an Arbiter. It's pretty smart stuff, and it's pretty much impossible to defend. But what is Leebokgu gonna do? Is Leebokgu gonna be able to fend off another attempt, another setup from Minchul, or is Minchul actually going to do it? Is Minchul going to do it? He's still recovering from that hit there on his probes. He's got 15 probes back there on the minerals. That's now 55 in total. It was down from 75. Arbiter Recall tries to go through the front door, but flies into some raids. Raids show no mercy. Leebokgu is comfortable, just sitting back, kicking back, waiting for his upgrades to finish. He's got level 1 attack there on the tanks. He's got level 1 armor on the way as well. He only has 2 armory, so no air upgrades at the moment on the way, but got a lot of turrets here on the sides of his base. He is prepared. Oh, Arbitus coming to the front door. Gonna stasis some units there, and that might actually set up... Oh, recalls there on top of the choke. Leebokgu already pulling back. He didn't recall on top of the tanks. He should have gone in a little bit deeper. A recall on top of the tanks that we're looking at here. Now he's gonna just the first break through the choke there, but the units that got recalled into the base were actually taking so much damage from the tanks in the back, down below, that I don't really think he's gonna do all that much, though that's a pretty sizable Zealot and Gateway mass. Command centers floating to the front to distract the Dragoons and make sure the Dragoons attack the command centers instead of attacking the units that are in the base. Smart move there from Leebokgu to save his hide, save his skin, because those units from Minchul are streaming in and dealing a lot of damage, more damage than they should be. Command centers there in the front though, buffering and buying him a lot of time for more units in the back to finish spawning. No Templar Storms are on the way. He's just going in with frontal mass attacks. He's doing so successfully. Stormed a lot of units to death, and the Zealots there on the top side clearing out the turrets. Dark Templar there in the mix too. Dragoons are still hammering away. More Zealots are on the way. He's adding in observers as well to detect those raids. And Minchul has turned on his game face despite being hit there by the tank drop, but the attack is not enough. Minchul managed to prevent disaster with those command centers here in the front. Those command centers really saved the day because he didn't have that many units left here on the bottom side. And imagine if those Dragoons had been hitting those tanks there down below. The game might have turned out very, very different, but Minchul once again sets up another frontal attack there. Level 2 armor, 1 shield, 2 weapon. He's very far ahead in his upgrades. His upgrades are doing very, very well. Goes into the front door once again. Leebokgu is still trying to rebuild his choke, still trying to rebuild his base. Comes in, units are streaming in between those factories on top of the tank. Storm's coming down as well. Armory is still in the front there, distracting the Dragoons. There's only 3 Dragoons there to distract. So those Dragoons are not going to be distracted for too long, but he's building a pretty nice little, small little choke point here that is distracting the units from Minchul. He can't really get through. And great defensive matrix there on the tank as well to make sure that the frontal bit of that block here is really strong. The defensive matrix is really helping him out. But Minchul is not relenting. He's not giving up. He's gonna keep up the pressure, although he's not using storm drops. He's just using arbiters with recalls and stasi and flying in over the front to drop on units and will recall on top of units. It's mostly just been a stream of very basic, simple gateway units, and it has somewhat been working. It has somewhat been working. Sometimes you don't need all those fancy shuttle, reaver, Templar storm drop stuff. You know, sometimes just frontal mass attacks with slight little mix-up with some tech is just enough. Sometimes it's just enough. Sometimes it isn't. Well, most of the time it isn't. Most of the time it is not enough. You really have to hit the economy of Terran. Most of the time, that is. The Leebokgu now, once again, maxed out once again. He is really comfortable, really strong. Minchul has control over the middle and is expanding his control pretty rapidly. Once again, mass army there on the middle. Upgrades are almost maxed out completely. It's 2 armor, 2 shields, 3 weapons. Leebokgu is on level 1-1 still, but it's got level 2 on the way for his ground and level 1 attack for his air somewhere. Actually, still only 2 arbiters. Oh, he's getting vulture speed. Once again, the tank drop there came down. I didn't see the dropship. I thought there was no dropship here in the mix. But he had a dropship in the mix, and he once again hit about 15 or 16 probes. So while that's not a massive hit, as always, hitting something is better than hitting nothing at all. So 51 probes now for Minchul. He's got about 21 on the gas. Although 18 probes on the gas there, so yeah, he's somewhat fine. He's got about 32 probes mining. It's not enough, but it's close to being enough. Anyway, Leebokgu now is feeling big and strong. He's strong enough to move out and go for the attack. Arbiter there in the front, gonna try to stasis or recall on top of something, on top of the units. He's gonna try to go in from the side, goes for a stasis instead of a recall. Drop coming in for the bottom side. The bottom side is completely almost cleared out. Almost nothing there. SCVs are running away to safety. Templar's gonna storm. Templar's too far away to storm on the SCVs. So yeah, this Templar, yeah, oh, he still hits a lot of SCVs there though. Killed about 20 in the end. It's still a pretty sizable hit. Still does something, but not enough. Not enough. Leebokgu's got 7,000 minerals or so, 2,000 gas. Another Arbiter recall there coming in for the top side, but they get scanned. Arbiter's raids are not on the way. Where are the raids going? Where are the raids? Raids are on the hunt. Raids kill the Arbiter. He got it in the end. I couldn't see them. I couldn't see the raids, but they were right there under my nose. He's slowly moving forward. He's waiting for the stage to end before he commits to pushing further into the middle. He's re-sieging. Could EMP there on the Arbiter. Arbiter is locked in place, can't do much, goes in deeper into the middle. Zealots are spread about in the middle. He's gonna try to go for a surround and use his Templar Storms at the same time. Goes in all at the same time. Great speed there. Templars there in the mix. Storms on the raids. Raids are escaping. Templars storming on the tanks. Tanks are being pushed back into the base. More storms coming down there as well. Slowly but surely moving forward, getting closer and closer, but his tanks are too damn strong. Even though they are currently still only on level 1-1 upgrades. Still only on 1-1 upgrades against completely maxed out upgraded gateway units. The amount of tanks is just so massive that he's able to just, you know, siege up and let those gateway units walk themselves into their deaths. Now Minchul is starting to realize his money is a little bit too low, so he's adding on more probes once again to get back to the 75 or 65 probe number. Because at the moment he cannot remax fast enough. Not as fast as Leebokgu can. Leebokgu doesn't have too many machine shops. He's got 6 machine shops, 7 machine shops. It's mostly factories without machine shops, meaning a lot of Goliaths and Vultures as well. Tanks moving forward deeper into the middle. Once again, the counterattack comes in from Minchul. Minchul's going to try to break through once again, but I don't think he's got enough. The Templars are storming. Templars are storming a little bit late, but they're getting on top of the tanks there. Nonetheless, tanks are in the back sieging up. Tanks up on the hill also sieging up. Raids are coming in once again from the back to the front. And Minchul pulls back into the middle because he knows that, okay, that engage didn't quite get the results that I intended. He has to once again ball up his mass and go for another attack. Now you could think and say, Minchul, it's time you switch over into carriers, but honestly, it's too late. It's too late to switch over into carriers because he, 1, doesn't have money, and 2, I don't think he has the upgrades for his air to switch into carriers. Actually, he does. He does. Well, only level 1 attack on the air. The problem is mostly Minchul is broke. He's really struggling for money. 1, because he's spending all of it really quickly, but he's forced to spend it on Zealots. He cannot switch into carriers anymore because it's too late. Leebokgu is already pushing into the middle, and by the time Minchul starts building his carriers, which he can't because he only has 2 Stargates, or 3 Stargates, he simply can't make enough carriers quick enough to deal with this army from Leebokgu. And Leebokgu has Goliaths and Raids, which both do pretty good against carriers. Now also, Minchul has Arbiters, and Arbiters do really well against Raids when they're stacked up because you stasis them and they are locked up for a pretty long period of time. But yeah, Minchul is trying to just hang in there. He's trying to buy himself time, but he's still only on 60 probes. He needs more. He needs more probes. He's mass producing gateway units really quick. A recall comes in somewhere on the bottom side of the base, but only, oh no, only 4 units of recall. What's that? There was only space for 4 units to recall. That is a disaster. He got the recall in the middle of his army, but only enough space for 4 zealots to get recalled into the base. Really, really unfortunate. It might have been his chance to make a comeback into the game if he could penetrate deeply enough into Leebokgu's base and kill his SCVs. But then again, Leebokgu had 7,000 minerals, so he's pretty rich. He can rebuild an army pretty quickly. He just completely neglect making more SCVs and go for 200 tanks, Goliaths, and Raids, and just completely steamroll the competition. Minchul is managing, though, to keep Leebokgu somewhat away from the middle. Like, Leebokgu enters the middle, but gets pushed back by having his units killed. And he's basically reset to this entrance pathway. But slowly but surely, he gains a couple inches every single time. It's a rinse and repeat game. Level 2-2 there on the tanks and Goliaths. He's inching closer to maxed out upgrades, and once he has maxed out 3-3 upgrades, the game is going to become even more difficult for Minchul, who's already maxed out on his gateway unit upgrades. Except for his shields, that's still on level 2. But 3 armor, 3 weapon. Leebokgu is very slowly setting up his army on the middle, spreading it out tiny bits by tiny bits. Some tanks up on the hill as well to help him out. These units are still rally pointed into the firing zone. Small oversight there from Minchul. He has to re-rally point his gateways to the choke. He forgot a couple of them. That means he's bleeding a couple units into that army every single time without actually getting results. Minchul is taking the giant, massive step in the Leebokgu, not Minchul. Leebokgu is taking a giant, massive step into the middle. Minchul is going to try to go in from the top side there as the tanks are a little bit screwed about, a little bit spread out. And at the same time, he's going to go for a Templar drop there. Arbiter goes down, gets a stasis, units are getting in. Drop comes in, drop goes in, Templar does it unload. Templar unloads, he gets the massive storm and all the SCVs there. Only 4,000 minerals left there for Leebokgu, but Leebokgu has a massive army on the middle. Leebokgu has a massive army on the middle, but he can't really push forward much anymore. He has to rebuild his SCVs, and he has to do it quick. Arbiter? 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 No, Arbiter! Oh no! So yeah, that's the rally point issue. Sometimes when you rally point all your units to a specific location on the map, you have to basically change the rally points again. And when you have so many gateways and stargates, it can become quite difficult when you forget to, you know, rally point all of them to a new location. So yeah, we've been seeing Minchul bleeding units and arbiters into that army with his rally points. Goes in from the front there, but there's too many tanks and vultures. The zealots are basically not doing any damage at all. By the time they arrive to attack and hit the tanks, the zealots are pretty much already done for. Pretty much already dead. The Arbiter couldn't get in and get a good stasis. He's gonna try to fly to the side and go for a recall to maybe save the day. He's pulling his units back into his base. Got 2 more Arbiters there back at home. He's gonna try to fly over the top side. Can he do it here? Can he get that Arbiter in deep enough? His minerals are very dangerously low. He really needs more probes. Arbiter comes in through the front door. He recalls in the front door there. Gonna try to deal damage back at home while Leebokgu's army is in his own front door. Can he hold this back for long enough for these units to actually do something? Scan comes down to kill those units there. There's not that many units there left in the base, but there's a couple tanks there in the back that will or might be enough, as a couple of units actually are pulling back to take care of those Dragoons. And the Zealots and Dragoons there that got a recall don't do as much as you would have hoped for. Great stasis there on about 7 tanks. He's going to try to barge through into the middle and kill whatever is left here of Leebokgu. So Leebokgu is looking really strong. Really strong here. Actually, he's getting pulled back. He's getting pushed back there, but the tanks will leave their stasis very soon. Minchul is setting his Templar into position to storm those tanks the moment they unfreeze. Also getting a surround off on those tanks are just when they unfreeze. But Leebokgu has cleared out the units that were in his base and is now pushing back into the middle. So 47 SCVs against 58 probes. His army is almost maxed out. That's a lot of tanks. A lot of tanks and vultures coming out from Leebokgu entering the middle. Raids there are really helping out there, cloaked up. Tanks have unfrozen, and they're not getting killed. They're actually going untouched. Minchul is playing with his life on the line. Clearing out this entire turret side there on the top. But Leebokgu doesn't care, he's just ignoring it. He's like, you know what, Zealots? Do your thing, I'm just gonna go attack and win the game. Great attack move there into the base. He's setting up shop there very deep into Minchul's base. Minchul tries to go for the Hail Mary, but so many of his zealots have already died. Arbiter gets chased down towards the cannons. No stasis on the Arbiter. Arbiter goes down. This should pretty much be the game. Leebokgu with a very solid game, although it was kind of gifted to him by Minchul going for a very failed recall attempt. Very big failure from Minchul. Minchul should have had this one, but he fell short by a little bit. And that falling short by a little bit is apparently just enough for Leebokgu to take home his first win in his best of 5 series. So let's update that score chart there and give Leebokgu his very first win of the set. His very first win of the set. So let's see what's going to happen in game number 4. And you know, as in the previous matches, it's a switcheroo with Leebokgu going onto the Protoss and Minchul going onto the Terran. And as we've seen before from the previous Terran match from Minchul, his Terran is really, really good. His Terran defense was really, really good. So let's hope he can redeem himself from the previous match where he completely messed up his attacks. Well, one attack, but the most important attack he failed. And that was the double recall attempt with an Arbiter that didn't have enough energy to do a recall. So let's see if it works this time around. Let's see if he can make it work. Can he beat Leebokgu's Protoss again? Would be great if he could. Would be great. But it's easier said than done. He's already done it once. Can he do it twice? Now we're looking at a mech build order from Minchul. He likes to switch things up. He's going for a command center. Oh, it's a barrack. It's a barrack, but on the spot of a command center. My bad. I almost was unpleasantly surprised by that development there. So Leebokgu here actually goes for a build order that might not be the best one into what Minchul is doing. Leebokgu might be in for a surprise. Because when there is no early pressure on the Terran, it becomes very difficult to survive the strength of a mech build order. Because the mech build order is pretty much going to go unpunished and can potentially deal devastating amounts of damage to Leebokgu very early on. Within the first 6 or 7 minutes, a mech build order is extremely strong. Extremely strong with very high potential of dealing killing damage. Fatal damage. But, once Leebokgu's economy gets very big and he gets all the gateways and robotics that he needs, there is about a 7-minute time window past the 7-minute mark where Leebokgu is going to be way stronger than Minchul, but only in the case that Minchul goes for a semi-all-in strategy and doesn't really decide to go for any economy whatsoever, which is what some players like to do. They go for a mech build order with very little economy to support their mid to late game. Whereas the Protoss here with the double Nexus has a lot of energy, a lot of money coming in forever, basically. Like, for every single stage of the game, he'll be rich. He'll be rich. So double Vulture there on the way from Minchul. We might try to sneak in through the front door there. This Marine getting chased away. Yeah, command center number 2 there coming in for Minchul. He's not gonna go for the all-in. He's gonna go for an economy mech build order. He has pretty good micro for the Vultures there, so there's nothing to worry about in regards to losing those Vultures. He's not even making Vultures at the moment. He's going for double machine shot. Double machine shot. He's building an armory and a depot. Wait, an armory and an academy? Armory and Academy, no depot. That's interesting. He's taking a lot of liberties. One, because he's safe, but two, he wants to get an advantage by spending money on things that he usually get later into the game. And that is the armory. Usually he would get the armory a little bit later into the game, but he wants to pull those upgrades ahead in the game plan. He wants to get them quicker instead of later. And he's getting tanks as well. Double tank there on the way, very early double tank. No siege mode yet. He's getting a starport as well, so this is gonna be a very fast tank drop build order. Has to be. And he might get level 1 attack first, or maybe he's gonna go into Goliaths after the tank drop, because shuttle drops are the main choice that Leebokgu is gonna go for. And it's his main option, really. It's the best option he's got. That is shuttle drops. So Goliaths are gonna be needed to snipe those shuttles out of the air. And Minchul indeed is going for those Goliaths. No Goliath range upgrade is on the way yet, but he can't afford it yet. He's just going to try to go for a tank drop first and then get Goliath range after. He doesn't need the Goliath range just yet. The Goliath range is needed only when the shuttles are going to come flying in. Now Leebokgu's shuttle is pretty quick. It's pretty quick. The shuttle is out really fast because he only went for a single robotics. Not for a double, he went for a single one. He's got Templar's Archive there, he got Dark Templars on the way as well. Shuttle speed, they're also being queued up. Minchul only still on 2 factories. This is kind of the downside that I was talking about. There is going to be a very small amount of time in between the 7 to 10 minute mark where the Terran is kind of weak compared to the Protoss. Like, as you can see, only two factories, not more, only 2. He does have raids on the way to snipe shuttles out of the air that are gonna come in. Shuttle is gonna come in here over the bottom right. There's Dark Templars in there, if I recall correctly. Unload's gonna try to penetrate into the back side there. There's a turret there on the way in the back, and he's got a scan there as well. Goliaths are trying to buy time by distracting the Dark Templar, making sure that the turret in the back finishes. The turret in the back finishes up, and I'm sure he's got scan as well. More Dark Templars are being loaded into the base. He's chasing the Dark Templar away for now. Dark Templar are going onto the top right of those turrets. Now, honestly, I believe if Leebokgu had gone for a double Reaver drop, he could potentially have ended the game right here with some shuttle Reaver micro. Because there's no range on those Goliaths. I don't think there's range on those Goliaths, so shuttle Reaver micro would have been very strong. But actually, the choice to go for Dark Templars might just be what Minchul needs to bypass that time window where he's weaker than the Protoss. Alright, Goliath range now on the way. Leebokgu is setting up his very first Templar shuttle drop. He's very good at shuttle drops, but we've seen that Minchul is also very good at defending those exact drops, which Leebokgu is a specialist in. Vultures on the middle gonna spot out those shuttles. That's unfortunate for Leebokgu. Good positioning from Minchul, putting them there exactly on the middle. Whether it was with the intended purpose of spotting out shuttles, I don't know. But the fact is, he spotted out those shuttles, which gives Minchul a pretty good shot at intercepting them. Leebokgu is taking some time. He doesn't want to go in yet. He's waiting a little bit longer. He wants to make sure that his opponent is not on guard. But Minchul knows something is going to come in. Minchul is pretty much always on guard. He knows when this is going to be coming. He knows it. He feels it in his blood. So Minchul is now hitting the point in the game where he's going to become stronger. He's not yet stronger than Leebokgu, but the factors are being added on. His army is growing in size, his upgrades are finishing up as well, and turrets are being thrown down everywhere that he can. So Leebokgu, after getting spotted out there by those units on the middle, again, does have 5 shuttles on the way this time around. He's gonna go and fly straight into those Goliaths. Storms on the Goliaths. Goliaths are dodging the storm. The Zealots are on the chase. Zealots have speed. Low drop there comes in from the bottom left. He's gonna try to snipe this one as well. That's one volley. Takes out one shuttle. Takes out two shuttle. And the shuttles are gone. Misses the storm there on the Goliaths. Minchul is microwing his way out of there. And no damage at all is received. Minchul is looking to be surviving the very small little time frame of weakness without taking any damage whatsoever. Leebokgu is just not managing to really make his attacks count. I mean, the Dark Templars are more there for recon and annoyance to set him up for the follow-up drop. But the fact that he got spotted out there by the Vultures really made life harder on him. And his follow-up drop is pretty slow. There's a lot of time in between this drop and the previous attempt. And Minchul now adding on more factories for a total of 9. Well, 6, 7. This is an engineering bay. I don't know why I said 9. I didn't even see 9. I saw 6. Somehow I said 9. Armies are finishing up. Level 1 attack there on the tanks. Level 2 attack there on the way. Level 1 armor also on the way. His upgrades are looking good. Minchul, Leebokgu has no upgrades for his ground at all. Got level 1 there on the way. He's got Singularity Charge also on the way. He's going to fly in over the front door. Oh, he's changing direction. Going over the side there. Going to fly in. Goliaths are already there to intercept those shuttles. Takes 1 down. Takes 2 down. Does he get number 3? Takes 3 down. Is number 4 filled up with something? Number 4 seems to be empty. The Templars are here on the side, storming on the Goliaths. The Goliaths are not really taking damage at all, because he's dodging the storms really well. Michael his way away from those Zealots as well. Units coming from the front to the back to defend this. And yeah, he clears that out a little bit easily. So Marines on the middle spot out the shuttles. Minchul can relocate his Goliaths to intercept them. He's going to come in from the bottom side. Leebokgu is not really having a good game. Leebokgu could try to clear out those units on the sides, but he's deciding not to. He's deciding to just send his units in over the map in full vision of Minchul's units. And yeah, we've reached the 10-minute point. Minchul is not as big as he could have been. Not yet. Because a lot of his SCVs are on the sides, building turrets and repairing his Goliaths. He's preserving his units. Important. But a lot of his SCVs are not mining minerals or building factories. So that means, of course, his army is not as big as it could be, but it will soon be very massive, because now he's going to defend this shuttle drop here as well. That's flying it over a full vision. Oh, he's focusing on the Corsair. No, the shuttle is not going to go in all the way. Storm's on the Goliaths. Goliaths are not dodging the storm this time around. He's just going to completely ignore the fact that he's getting stormed, and he kills it all with ease. So still in 7 factories. Level 2 attack has finished. Level 1 armor also has finished there for Minchul. Now Leebokgu is not really looking too hot. He's not looking too hot, as nothing is working at all. And Minchul is once again playing absolutely perfect defense with great target firing and of course great map vision and great reaction to everything that Leebokgu is trying to do. So Leebokgu there on the bottom side, going to try to fly in over the bottom left. Once again, there's vision all over the place. There's vessels on the hill, engineering base floating on the bottom side. There's Goliaths ready to intercept. Goes in. Takes down 1 shuttle, takes down 2, takes down 3, and everything is all over there on the bottom corner, but nothing for Minchul to be worried about. Nothing for Minchul to be worried about at all. He's happy with his 73 SCVs that haven't been touched at all over the entire duration of the game. He's got 8 factories now. He's got a couple more starports on the way as well. He's just growing bigger and bigger. Slowly, but safely. It's happening safely. Marine there spots it out. Goliaths are on the chase, moving to the top corner, ready to intercept. He's stacking the shuttles to make it harder to click on the shuttles. But Minchul will have no trouble taking down those shuttles at all. He's lowering down the top corner. There's a lot of Zealots there in the top corner, but not enough to really be much of a threat. They do kill most of the Goliaths there in the corner, but more units coming in from the bottom side to the top side to clear that out. I'm going to try to kill some turrets there instead, but I don't think killing 1 or 2 turrets is really going to do much. He actually only gets a single one. follow-up drop, they're already on the way, but there's engineering base, they're still in the air. Leebokgu should really have cleared out those engineering bases in the air. EMP misses the mark, Leebokgu dodged it quite well. Leebokgu's having a tough game. Whenever Leebokgu can hit his storms, whenever he can hit those drops, he becomes a very, very dangerous and scary player. But as we can see here, nothing is working, and when nothing is working, he falls behind pretty quick. Because he is so focused on trying to get those shuttle drops to work, he's so focused on sending them out as fast as he can, that he isn't spending his money as fast as he could. Now, I admit, it is very hard to spend so much money very quick when it's just coming in so fast. Oh, the EMP there misses most, but still hits a lot of them. The shuttles there, of course, a little bit on the bottom side, unloads a lot of units there. Storms on the tank, storms on the Goliath, shuttles they're also on the chase, gets triple storm, 4 storms, almost 5 storms there, hit the mark. But it turns out those tanks with their upgrades are still a little bit too strong. Although, he's killing a lot more than I thought. He's killing more than I thought. And his follow drop there is already on the way. Maybe this one can hit and arrive on destination. But the problem is still, please Leebokgu, kill those marines, kill those engineering base, kill that vision that Leebokgu or Minchul has on the sides. Oh wait, what's this? Minchul is done waiting. Minchul's gonna go for the attack. He's almost maxed out. He's not gonna wait any longer. He's done with this game. He's done with this. And as Minchul ignores his defense, Leebokgu goes in and arrives on the scene. Misses the storm pretty terribly there in the back though. He's gonna wreak havoc with his zealots instead. But what really matters is the SVs are all alive, all gone into the middle. And Minchul is gonna go for the attack. Great EMP there on a large group of zealots. Great EMP there. Great EMP. Let's go for a picture here. Not the greatest picture, but honestly, there's not a lot of great pictures to be made in this set. I'm maybe gonna use one from game 1 for the thumbnail. Maybe gonna use one from game 1. But yeah, Minchul is playing really well. He's making this look almost easy. Almost easy. Great storm there, gonna have to micro backwards. The vessel control is also on point. Honestly, Minchul is pretty impressive here. This is pretty impressive control and macro. Really focused gameplay, scouting ahead there with the vessel to get information. There's no cannons there in the back. He's seeing almost the entire base. Leebokgu doesn't have that many gateways at all. And Minchul's just gonna set up shop there in the front. Siege tanks are sieged up. Goliaths are there protecting them from pretty much anything that gets too close. More vessels coming in as well for more EMPs. Leebokgu is trying his hardest to max out as fast as he can, but there's so many units coming in through the front door, and he doesn't have that many gateways. 6 on the bottom, 7 on the top, and 3 more for a total of 16 gateways against a very large army of tanks, produced by only 8 factories. Only 8 factories in total were used for this army. Drops on the tanks, but the tanks are unseized, and he kills the zealots pretty much within a blink of an eye. And Leebokgu knows the game is over. He knows he completely failed to harm Minchul at any point whatsoever, despite his numerous attempts to do so. Minchul just defends it with 8 factories and 4 starports and kills Leebokgu in a 15-minute game of perfect defense. Once again, this man is just perfect at defending. He does it so well. So that concludes the set. Minchul there comes out pretty convincingly. Honestly, this was a pretty convincing best of set in favor of Minchul. He looked really strong. His third game was a little bit questionable, but you know, sometimes people have those questionable games when they try to do fancy stuff that might be a little bit too fancy for a good reason. yeah, that's it. This was RGB for RJB TV. Minchul takes home the W, takes home the win. 3 wins, 1 loss. Can call himself the king. And see you next time.